Hello, everyone. Welcome into episode 127. I'm sure this episode's going to be on fire as the city of Chattanooga was today. I am Nick Live, as always, from that aforementioned Chattanooga, Tennessee, United States. I don't know, guys, if you saw some of the posts that was put up on our Facebook page, but pretty big fire in the middle of downtown here on April 23rd, 2024. But, Gus, it's good to be with you here, as always, down in Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah, yeah. Always nice to be on with you. I not 100% to be honest. I contracted dengue fever, as a lot of people in Brazil have contracted recently. But I'm ready. I'm ready to go. A lot of sports going on tonight. Corinthians losing 1-0 versus Argentino Juniors for Copa Sul-Americana. And it doesn't seem like Corinthians is going to take a turnaround, but there's still 10 minutes to play into the second half.
Yeah, and here on the TV, here right next to my desk, I have the glorious YouTube TV multi-view. We've got both of the Stanley Cup playoff games that go in here. We've got Tampa Bay at the Florida Panthers, so a little bit over 6 minutes left in the third period. It's 2-2. In the first period, up in Manitoba in Canada, I think Winnipeg's in Manitoba, I think. Yeah, it's in Manitoba. The Jets are up 1-0 on the Colorado Avalanche. Down in Wisconsin, we have the Indiana Pacers trying to become the first road team so far in these NBA playoffs to win a game. Up by 9 points, 79-70 in the third quarter, 5 minutes, 21 seconds left. And then with 3 minutes left in the game, it looks like the Minnesota Timberwolves, barring a collapse, are going to go up 2-0 on the Phoenix Suns, up 102-88. And that's exactly where we're going to start here, is with the NBA playoffs, because, folks, it is full-on playoff time. And, it's been an interesting start so far, because as I just mentioned, we've not seen a single road team win a game so far throughout these playoffs. But it doesn't mean that there hasn't been any great games. Now, I did put the question on here, why so many blowouts? Because, to be fair, in the first games, in game ones, we had one good game, and that was Philadelphia at New York. Everything else was a blowout across the board. And that was kind of concerning to me early on, because I'm like, with the NBA playoffs, okay, we know, like, in the regular season, there's so many games, they're not going 100% on defense especially. But when it comes to the playoffs, I expect these guys to really turn it up and to really go at it and prove why they're the best basketball players in the world. But the game ones just were not fantastic. However, last night, oh my goodness, TNT had to be over the moon with what they got. They first had an epic finish in Madison Square Garden where the Philadelphia 76ers were up 5 points with 30 seconds left. And the Knicks go down, hit a three, and then the 76ers turn the ball over, throwing the ball back in up two. The Knicks miss a shot. They get the opposite rebound, throw it back out to Dante DiVincenzo, and he hits the game-winning three. And the Knicks won by 1 point, and Joel Embiid took a last-second free to try to win in what was just an awful possession by the 76ers. I mean, the Philadelphia, they get rid of Doc Rivers to try to right this wrong in the playoffs, and now they find themselves down 2-0 to New York. I just don't think they're ever going to win anything with Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it seems like Joel Embiid cannot carry the team by himself. I guess you can say the Knicks are getting on fire, and they are, uh, being more ready for those moments like that. I feel like the Philadelphia 76ers, unfortunately, again, they're gonna, you know, let their fans down. And the question is how when the Joel Embiid window is gonna finish. Until
Yeah,
when
so
you'll be viable.
and the thing about Philadelphia is they really only have two players right now that are contributing. You have Joel Embiid, who to his credit had 34 last night, but he was 12 of 29 shooting. That was not an efficient 34 points that he got. And Tyrese Maxey actually was 12 of 22, had a really solid game, dropped 35 and 10 assists. but no one else on that team had more than 10 points, which was VFL Tobias Harris. You're just not going to win a lot of games with two main scorers. Meanwhile, every single starter on the New York Knicks had double digits. It's much more even. I know Jalen Brunson has been the guy throughout the year for the New York, but he was still 8 of 29 last night. I mean, they really, it seems like to me the Knicks are just a much more complete team than Philadelphia. And at the end of the day, a complete team is going to beat, two players.
Yeah, that seemed like the topic or the way the NBA playoffs had it. Complete teams dominating the teams that have stars, but they don't have depth in their roster.
Yeah, and you look no further on that front than what we saw up in the Mile High Series. Of course, we have the Lakers as a 7 seed going to the 2-seeded Nuggets. This is a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals. And so far, it's halfway to the same result. The Nuggets up 2-0. And last night really was a tough way to lose if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. They were up by 20 at one point in this game and collapsed and let Jamal Murray come back and hit a game winner after LeBron had missed a game-winning 3 on the other end. And it feels like the Lakers are dead in the water here.
Yeah, the Lakers. Yeah, that's true. They're kind of dead in the water. They have their others. They don't have depth in their roster because their other players, they're not carrying the team like LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Oh, for sure. And granted, I give credit to D'Angelo Russell. He did have 23 himself last night. But, I mean, Austin Reeves only had 9. I mean, not fantastic. I mean, Rui Hachimura, 1 of 7, bro. Seriously. They aren't going to win anything like this. It just literally isn't going to work. Especially when you're facing off against the best center of our generation. Maybe the most, okay, I don't know if I want to say the most all-around talented center in NBA history. I mean, you still got Shaq and Wilt and all these historic centers, but I would argue that Nikola Jokic is probably at least the best passing center of all time. But I mean, still, 27 points, 20 assists, 10 rebounds. I mean, those are just video game numbers that this guy puts up day in, day out. And it still bogs my mind that this guy was the 41st overall pick. And is going out and it's just casually the best player in the league. Day in and day out. And because I don't know if you overheard what I just said. I mean, part of me is beginning to think Nikola Jokic may be the single most all-around talented center we've ever seen in this league. But I don't know if I can put him up over, Shaq or Olajuwon or Wilt Chamberlain. But I feel like in terms of his raw passing, we've never seen a center like this.
And he does so quietly. He doesn't want attention for himself. He doesn't try to impress the media. He just goes every day and play basketball, and he's being so steady. It's gonna be hard to stop Jokic and Denver. I mean, it's gonna be really hard to stop them.
It is. I mean, the Lakers may get a game back at the Crypto.com arena, but, we'll just have to wait and see on that front. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks have made it a 1-point game. Actually, now a 3-point game that Indiana just scored. And they're getting an end one. So things are getting really tight there in Milwaukee as Minnesota is about to win 105-93. And that's, Minnesota is now up 2-0. And for Minnesota, I think that's massive. Because, there's been a lot of questions about their ability to win in the playoffs. We saw what happened the last time they were in versus the Memphis Grizzlies. And how they had multiple games in that series where they should have won, but collapsed on time after time after time again. And it's good to see for Minnesota that they can win and hold home court because now they got to go to Phoenix on Friday night. And I think that, Minnesota, as long as they win a game in Phoenix, and as we have seen the last 2 playoffs years, Phoenix is not exactly hard to beat in the Valley. I mean, Phoenix has just been, as my friend, our dear friend Jason Wyrick would say, PVU in Phoenix. I mean, they've just been crushed on multiple occasions down in Phoenix to end their season. I would not be shocked for Minnesota to come back and win this game. In any case, too, looking throughout the rest of the NBA here, as we will have Gus back momentarily. Of course, later on tonight, here in a few minutes, we have Dallas and the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll start here momentarily from the Crypto.com arena. LA has a 1-0 lead in that matchup. Really interesting when you look at Dallas. Once again, they're very similar to Philly in terms of, yeah, of course, you got Luka Doncic, by far your scoring leader this year by about 4 points a game. But at the end of the day, are the Clippers just much more of a balanced team? And I think overall they kind of are when you really look at them. And Dallas just, I don't think it's going to may not have enough help here. But I could see Dallas still pulling this off tonight.
Yeah, I think Dallas and the Clippers are probably the series that's the most even, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to eventually occur there with the with that series. But obviously, it's going to be a huge night for the for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They're going to have to play at top notch. And I'm curious, is Kawhi Leonard back tonight? Because he was out for game one, and he is back tonight. So Kawhi, and that's the thing too. The Clippers were able to win game one without Kawhi, and that is a huge W if you're Los Angeles. Because we'll have to see if Kawhi Leonard is close to 100% here. But I mean, a 70% Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs is still better than nothing. I mean, we know that Kawhi Leonard is very clutch. I mean, as we know from 2014 and 2019. So he is in, yeah. And yeah, James Harden's going to give him credit. Because Harden looked great.
Yeah, he's been carrying the franchise. I feel like, if there's a team that Harden wants to prove he can be good in the playoffs, is the Clippers. Because, Harden and Clippers are known to be not very reliable in the playoffs.
Also, Paul George. I mean, Paul George doesn't exactly have a stellar record either in the postseason as well. So a lot of narratives that could die here if the Clippers were to go on a good run. But going over Luka Doncic, who we all know is a ice cold killer, and Kyrie Irving, who's also a ice cold killer as well, it'll be difficult. But I do think the Clippers have a deeper team. So we'll just have to wait and see. I still think the Clippers there are going to win in probably 6, maybe 7. But I think that is, as you said, I think that is the deepest playoff series out of all of them. Now, and some of the other series we haven't talked about, we have Heat Celtics, which is the 8-1. Boston won that by game 1 by 20. They don't have the Heat don't have Jimmy Butler right now. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a sweep. Or maybe if I'm being generous, Celtics in 5. I just think without Jimmy Butler, they don't have a chance. The Miami Heat.
No, yeah, Jimmy Butler is the difference maker down in South Florida. So without them, I think the Heat might be able to win one game, but that's it.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the Orlando Magic. I know we've talked about how surprising their run has been this year to get to the 5 seed, but so far they're down 2-0 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they lost by double digits both times. The moment might just be too big here for Orlando.
But I mean, it's already good to have some playoff experience, because Orlando's going to be back. They have Paolo Banchero. I think they're going to be in the back in the playoffs next year.
Oh yeah, I think they will be as well, especially in the East. And it's just these are growing pains when you're a young franchise. But hey, for Orlando, it's a no-lose situation. I mean, I think obviously Orlando will show up to support their team in Game 3 and Game 4, and we'll see if they can get a win here just to get some momentum moving forward. But for Cleveland, I think it's a good start, especially for Donovan Mitchell, the Spider-Man, who has faced some criticism for his playoff performances in the past, getting 30 there in game one. But overall, I just don't see this turning out well for the Orlando Magic. I think the Cash take it in like 5. Trying to I know Pacers Bucks is going on right now. Pacers just took a 9-point lead into the fourth quarter. So if the Pacers can hold on, that's 1-1. I think that series could go all the way because the Pacers can score at will when they're hot, and the Bucks have Doc Rivers. And as we all know, you can't trust a Doc Rivers team in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't see Milwaukee being out in the first round. I think they might be able,
I mean, they were out in the first round last year. Remember, they got knocked out by the Heat in round 1. So, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they got knocked out.
But then, like, the same question we asked about Joel Embiid, we should ask about Giannis. Like,
Giannis has a championship, though.
Yeah, but I know there's there's a window of you don't want to, with a talent like Giannis, you don't want to settle for one championship. You think about like a window of championships.
Yeah, and also I want to say the Nashville Predators have struck early in Vancouver. That game has just started in game 2. The Nashville Predators take a 1-0 lead early as they are trying to even the series in British Columbia. But we'll talk more about Stanley Cup here in just a minute. So yeah, I'm just excited about that. That's the team. That's the one team here I'm really rooting for is the Nashville Predators. But back on what you said about Giannis, it is, you have the championship, but at some point, if you want to be considered an all-time great, you got to get some more, right? Like you got to have more than one championship, or otherwise you're just going to be like Dirk Nowitzki, who's like, yeah, like we all acknowledge he's really good, but he's never going to come up in an all-time great conversation. So that's what's on the line now for Giannis, because yeah, he has a title, but can he get another one?
Yeah. To get to the conversation, there's another level.
Exactly. I think another series here we haven't discussed. I think the last series we haven't touched on is Pelicans Thunder, and that was actually a really good game 1 between the Thunder and the Pelicans. The Thunder took that by 2 points, but I think it's an absolute travesty though that we don't have Zion Williamson, because Zion Williamson was going crazy in the playing game versus the Lakers. He had actually played 70 games throughout the season, but he injured his hamstring, so now he is out for the entire first round. Could potentially come back for a second round if the Pelicans were to win. But
I was gonna say, yeah, if the Pelicans, if they had any hopes of advancing, was with Zion in the first round. Without him, I don't see them have any chance eliminating the Thunder.
Yeah, and I'll say this: the Thunder don't exactly impress me as the 1 seed. I could see them losing in the second round to either the Mavericks or the Clippers. I mean, because the Thunder. I know they're really young and really talented, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is amazing, and Chet Holmgren is really good. This Josh Giddey though sucks, and I'm not saying that just because of what he's been accused of off the court. This dude was 1 of 6 in this game. Only had 3 assists. He's just not any good. And combine that with the stuff he's accused of, and it just seems like a dead weight for the Thunder franchise.
Yeah, it's complicated when you have off the court issues affecting in the court. It's really, we can ask the Memphis Grizzlies about that. So.
Right, and of course, if Josh Giddey's stuff is true, that's worse than what John Morant has been accused of. Considering, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Gus, but
enlighten me.
No, basically, Josh Giddey a few months ago, it came out that apparently he was hanging out with some women some girls rather, that were not old enough to be hanging out with him. in a certain
Oh,
context. Yeah, so at least he was texting him or something to that effect. So let's just say that follows him everywhere he goes now. And in a way, I do think it's toxic. But I really wish the Thunder are the if the Pelicans had Zion, I would honestly pick the Pelicans to win this series. But I'm going to have to take the Thunder in 6. I do think the Pelicans are good enough to steal a game or two. They're just not good enough without Zion to win that series.
oh yeah, that's true. I agree with you. I feel like that's the point. Uh, when you lose your best player, it's hard to overcome that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what we haven't picked. So I think we both agree that Cavs are going to finish off the Magic, right?
Yes,
We both agree that the Timberwolves are going to finish off the Suns
in 6.
in 6, which would make sense. Phoenix losing at home. That's what they do in the playoffs.
Hmm.
76ers Knicks. Any chance Philly comes back from 2-0 down?
No, Knicks.
Any chance the Lakers can come back from the Nuggets?
No, no.
Any chance? Okay, I think we both said the Celtics will win. What's your pick on Mavs Clippers? I'm gonna
Clippers.
I'm gonna go Mavs in 7. I feel all right. Pacers Bucks.
Ooh, Pacers.
I like the Pacers too. Give me them Pacers in 7, and I'm going Thunder in 6. So if I'm correct, that would make our second round playoff matchups. That would make it the Celtics and the Cavs, the Knicks and the Pacers.
Ooh, that's a historical rivalry in the East.
Oh yeah, it is. It definitely is. Um, in the West, it would be the Clipper. It would either be the Clippers and the Thunder or the Mavericks and the Thunder, which takes me back to like 2015, like the early days of KD and Russ versus Dirk Nowitzki. And then you would have the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. So for me,
Yeah,
I'll just say this. For my long-term predictions, I think the Western Conference Finals would be the Nuggets and the Mavericks. With the Mavericks going to the NBA Finals from the West. In the East, I think the Celtics would beat the Cavs. Trying to think. It'd be what, Knicks and Pacers? I like the Pacers.
I
And
like the Knicks.
so you'd have what about Celtics Cavs?
Celtics.
So you would have imagine if we get Boston, New York in the Eastern Conference Finals. That'd be the first Boston, New York final. Well, I guess it's the Patriots and Giants, or maybe the Bruins, Rangers. I don't know if we've had one of those recently. But think about how epic that would be if we got a Boston, New York Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, that would be big.
Yeah,
That would be really big.
yeah. But I would take the Celtics and the Nuggets in the finals. And I'm going to go Celtics to be the champion.
I still have hope on my New York Knicks.
So you're going to take the Knicks to beat the Celtics, and then I guess who's coming out of the West for you?
Denver.
So Knicks. So New York and Denver. Who wins the NBA Finals?
I wish to be the Knicks, but I think Denver will back-to-back champions.
All right, there you go. So I have the Celtics. He has the Knicks, or the Nuggets rather, as your champion. Also, one other note I wanted to bring up too, from the playing games. Of course, we saw the Warriors go out in sad fashion to the Kings, who themselves went out to the Pelicans. In my mind, it's time for Klay Thompson to retire. He didn't score a single point in Sacramento. Couldn't hit a single shot. Apparently, rumors are he's looking to join maybe I think I saw the Mavericks maybe is the rumor. But I just think at this point, with all the injuries and stuff he suffered a few years back in 2019, he's just nowhere close to the same player that he was. It's time for him to retire.
Oh yeah, and go out on the on, go out on the high. I feel like Clay Thompson definitely hasn't been the same player since that 2019 playoff injury. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Of course, he's one of the all-time great shooters. I think should be a Hall of Famer. I mean, the Robin to Steph Curry's Batman. I mean, just has been a pleasure to watch them play together for the last, 10, 15 years in Golden State. I mean, those two, the Splash Brothers, will always be immortal uh, in basketball lore.
Oh yeah, for sure. He'll be what he and what he did alongside Stephen Curry was historical, especially the way they started their dynasty 10 years ago. I feel like he definitely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, for sure. Some quick WNBA notes while we're on the topic. We had a really weird situation. I'm going to pull this up on X. This was, I think, last Wednesday or something like that. Greg Doyle. He's a reporter for the Indy Star. And all right, I have this pulled up. I'm going to share my screen because I'm doing the wrong thing because Caitlin Clark was at her intro press conference. Of course, she's the number 1 overall pick for the Indiana Fever. And listen to what Greg Doyle thinks was appropriate for her to ask. So here's what was asked to Caitlin Clark.
Hi, Caitlin. Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. That you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so.
Okay, well, let's start doing it to me and we'll get along just fine. So, question is.
Okay, so basically what happened is he goes up and he does this, right? Like the heart thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she does that all the time to her family, right? And a lot of people do that to each other, But what's weird about this here is, I mean, we both have been sports journalists. I'm still a journalist, right? And we've been in these press conferences, right? Would you ever go up to Kelly Harper or Kim Caldwell or any female athlete and just start this and try to start awkwardly flirting with them?
No. I mean, he was probably just didn't know what to ask or he wanted to make an impression, but he did it in the worst way possible.
Yeah, I mean, quite literally, I mean, you're going to have someone who's going to be one of the preeminent athletes in your entire city, and you're going to act weird because they're a woman. This guy, okay, imagine this is 1998, and Peyton Manning just has landed in Indianapolis. You think that Greg Doyle's going to walk up and throw a heart sign at Peyton Manning?
No.
As number 1 draft pick? Of course not. And this is basically potentially the Peyton Manning of the WNBA here that we're talking about with Caitlin Clark, who just got a record $28 million Nike deal today, by the way, which is insane. An incredible bag, considering that she's only getting paid about $70,000 this year, which for professional athletes is obviously much lower than a $10 million that we saw with the number 1 overall pick last year in Victor Wembanyama. But I mean, still, just super weird by Doyle.
Yeah, very awkward situation. I feel like he just got, he just didn't know how to react.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever met a woman before, so that's my opinion. In any case, this leads to the larger debate that we've seen over the past, but really for a while now on the WNBA pay. Obviously, we all know that WNBA players get paid a lot less than the NBA counterparts, and I've always kind of held a position of, well, the league never makes that much money, right? Or really doesn't make any money at all. Let's be real, at least up until this point. Last year, on average, the average WNBA game got about 500,000 viewers. Now, I expect that to skyrocket this year with Caitlin Clark. And, and this is why, this is the biggest moment for the WNBA. If they can't take advantage of this, then their league is never going to be financially successful. Because you now finally have an athlete people are interested in. The Indiana Fever are going to be on, out of their 40 regular season games, 36 of them will be on national TV. If it's time to, if they want to, increase those contracts, you got to increase the eyeballs. And I think with Caitlin Clark and some of these other young athletes like Angel Reese and Paige Beckers and Cameron Brink that are coming in, now's the time. So I know people are debating that it's unfair compared to the WNBA or to the NBA, but the NBA has viewers all over the world. But the WNBA couldn't too.
Yeah, I think this is a make it or break it season for the WNBA in terms of eyeballs, in terms of viewerships, in terms of attention. I think they should be they should try to promote as much as possible.
I think too, it's not just big for obviously the rookies. I think the established veterans too will have a chip on their shoulder. Like the Brianna Stewarts, the Sabrina Ionescos, the Kelsey Plums, the Aja Wilsons, the ones that are already there and already stars in that league, who maybe the casual sports fan doesn't know about because they haven't paid attention to women's basketball before now. This is their moment too. This is their moment to really step up. And not just let it be the Caitlin Clark show. Because I know for all those other women in that league who are getting ready to compete, I know they're all probably thinking, I'm already here. I've already been here in the WNBA, and I'm not going to let this become the Caitlin Clark show. And that, to me, is going to be just one heck of a storyline to follow because all the hubbub is going to be about Caitlin Clark as the rookie. But veterans are going to assure themselves say, nope, this is my league you're walking into. And that I'm very interested to see how that plays out. So I think there's going to be some rivalries that start up because of all this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like as you point out perfectly, we have a lot. We have the rookies with guided by Caitlin Clark, Reese, and Paige, but the established veterans, they're like, hey rookies, you're arriving right now. We have been here long enough.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun here. It starts here in a couple of weeks. And I'll be honest, like we haven't covered it that much. And maybe that's our bad, But maybe honestly I just haven't been that interested until now. So it's time. But this year though, I will actually try to watch some of it, that at least. So it's going to be a good time. Switching over to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Right now we have overtime ongoing in South Florida. We have 2-2 between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. The Panthers lead 1-0. Wait, did they just score? The Panthers have won on an overtime goal. Right as I was saying it, they got it past the goalie. And the Panthers are now up 2-0 on the Tampa Bay Lightning with a 3-2 win in overtime, right as I began to talk about it.
The Panthers last year, they surprised everybody, so they're trying to make another run like that.
Yeah, and they are well on their way to it, up 2-0, as now the series will shift to Tampa. Wow. That was good timing, Gus. I don't know if I ever switch over to a game and I'm just like, wow, it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finally on ESPN we'll switch over to the Nashville Predators game. As I had mentioned earlier, the Preds have gone up 1-0. 6:15 left in the first period. And at the first intermission, Winnipeg is up 1-0 on Colorado. Earlier this evening, the New York Rangers took a 2-0 lead at home at Madison Square Garden. Can you imagine that the floor crew at MSG have been so busy having to go back and forth between the basketball court and the ice rink the past couple of days?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, of course, the Rangers are like the number one overall seed in the East. So, a lot of excitement in New York about their teams right now. 4-3 for the Rangers. Isn't it ironic though? Because remember, O.J. Simpson just died, and the Rangers had just won the Stanley Cup, and the Knicks were in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
The irony.
Oh.
Watch. Both New York teams are now going to make the finals.
Oh yeah. What a
So,
connection.
Yeah. So New York is now up 2-0 on the Washington Capitals, who barely snuck into the playoffs anyway. Now, back to yesterday, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Shout out to the Maple Leafs. We all know, like what Jason Mark likes to call them, PVU. But they did beat Boston in Boston. And, the Boston Bruins have tortured the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're like the Florida to our Tennessee, right? When it comes to the Stanley Cup, it always seems like Toronto loses to Boston. Actually, I don't know what the all-time series is between the Maple Leafs and the Bruins, but I feel like they've met at least 3 or 4 times in the Stanley Cup, and it seems like Toronto loses every single time.
Yeah, Toronto, they're known to be chokers.
Yeah, so literally, the last time, can you guess the last time Toronto Maple Leafs beat Boston in the playoffs?
2010?
No, way earlier than that. Way earlier than that.
2005?
Nope. We're talking decades. Decades.
Wow. So when was it?
1959.
Wow.
Yeah, because Boston has defeated Toronto in 2019, 2018, 2013. In 2013, I believe they were up like a goal with 30 seconds left in TD Garden and gave up 2 goals at the end to win, or to lose rather. They lost to Boston in 1974, 1972, and 1969. So, quite literally, Boston tortures Toronto in the playoffs. But Austin Matthews came through in the third period yesterday and gave Toronto a huge win on the road. And we all know Toronto is going to be nuts for Game 3 because Toronto is the Dallas Cowboys in the NHL in terms of the fan base and the playoff success.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really crazy Game 3. I feel like Toronto has to win.
Yes, they need to win because we all know all the pressure is always on Toronto. Similarly, I think another team that has a historic pressure. I think any Canadian team in the Stanley Cup playoffs is just going to have more pressure than their American counterparts because it's that expectation. Like hockey is Canada's sport, where we all know they haven't. A Canadian team has not won a title since what is it, 1993? It's been the ongoing curse of the Lord Stanley's Cup, created in Montreal, but they just can't get it home. They can't get it back across the border. So another team there that's interesting to me is the Edmonton Oilers, who obviously, they have Connor McDavid, and they're just, loaded. And they won 7-4 last night over the Los Angeles Kings. Now, the Los Angeles Kings are one of those franchises that seemingly just, they'll surprise teams, and they'll go on deep runs. So, but Edmonton did win 7-4, so shout out to them. They got that W. Additionally, back here in the States, the Vegas Golden Knights won Game 1 yesterday against the Dallas Stars. Dallas is the number 1 seed in the West. Favored by many to go to the Stanley Cup. But Vegas, that's a team that had a lot of experience winning in the postseason. Won 4-3, of course, the defending champions from last year. We have the Hurricanes defeating the Islanders 5-3 last night. And the Islanders were up 3-1 in this game. They blew a 3-1 lead. I wonder where I've heard that before. A 3-1 lead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't really make fun of it. The Braves blew a 3-1 lead in 2020 to the Dodgers. But since it happened in the COVID year, does it really count that we blew a 3-1 lead? I mean, no one watched it. No one cared. So I don't think it counts. But in
Yeah,
any
that's true.
case, but the Islanders did blow a 3-1 lead, and the Hurricanes are now up 2-0 in that series. So, just in your general, is there anything that really stands out to you looking at these NHL matchups?
Nah, it seems like it's going to be very open matchups. But I think the most surprising one is Florida 2-0 against Tampa. I think that's the most surprising one.
For sure. Okay, so let's pick. Let's pick some of these finals here. So Panthers are up 2-0 against the Lightning. Can Tampa Bay come back from that?
Yes.
You're going to take the Lightning to come back.
Yeah, take the
series.
Lightning to come back.
I think the Panthers will win in 6. And then the winner of that would play the Bruins and the Maple Leafs.
Maple Leafs.
Toronto's going to break the curse. I like to pick Toronto, but I just can't get myself to do it. Maybe this is my reverse case because there's a part of me, there's a sicko part of me that wants to see Toronto win. I like Boston to win. So give me Florida and Boston. You have Tampa Bay and Toronto. So in that Tampa Bay Toronto, who would you take there?
To what? Sorry?
Tampa Bay versus Toronto in the second round.
Tampa Bay.
Okay. I have the Panthers and Boston. Give me Florida. Give me the Panthers.
Yeah.
To take out Boston.
Let's try to do next week so we have more a clear path. Next week we pick our
Well, I mean, it's more fun to pick it right now.
Okay.
Rangers up 2-0 on the Capitals. Any chance Capitals come back there? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so too.
Yeah, Rangers. Hurricanes and Islanders. Hurricanes up 2-0.
Islanders. I still believe in the Islanders.
Yeah, I think Hurricanes got it. So I have Hurricanes, Rangers. You would have the New York Derby, the Islanders, Rangers.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Who do you think wins there? Islanders, Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah, I'm going to have Rangers over the Hurricanes. So that gives me Rangers, Panthers, and I'm going to take the Rangers to go to the Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
So over here in the Central Division, and the Colorado Avalanche have just scored a goal. It's 1-1 in Winnipeg now. And shout out to the Pacers. They're up by 19 in Milwaukee. 121-102 with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. There we go. Classic Doc Rivers. At it again. Classic Doc. Okay, so Dallas and Vegas. It's 1-0 Vegas right
now. You go first.
Okay, I'm gonna go with, and just for my Western world, I think Dallas will come back and win that series. I think that Colorado is going to win this series. So I have Colorado and Dallas in the second round. And I'm going to pick an upset here. I'm going to go Colorado to go to the Western Conference Final. In the Pacific, obviously my Nashville Predators, they actually don't look too bad right now. They had a good chance of winning game 1 the other night. They were up heading into the third period, but the Canucks really just overwhelmed them in the third period. But the Predators holding their own so far at 1-0 with a minute left. I believe if they can just hold on and find a way to win tonight, bring them back to Broadway with a tied series, and Bridgestone Arena is going to be crazy. I believe. Give me the Predators.
Give me the Predators too.
And I got the Oilers, Kings. I do think the Oilers will get this one. And then Connor McDavid versus the Preds. I do have to go Edmonton there. I do have to go with the Oilers. So I've got the Oilers versus the Avalanche, and give me Edmonton. So I think my final is going to be Edmonton versus the Rangers. The best player in the NHL versus the best team. And I think the best team wins. I think the Rangers get it done.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a pathway.
Absolutely. So in any case, we'll definitely keep up with those playoffs as we go along. In terms of other big sport events this week, the NFL draft is Thursday night. And, in terms of I suspect Caleb Williams is going to be number 1 overall to the Chicago Bears. And it looks like probably your top 4 picks are going to all be quarterbacks. Probably some combination of Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy, which I just don't get J.J. McCarthy being a top 5 pick. I know he was a good college quarterback. He just won the national championship, but nothing about him ever blew me away.
It reminds me of the 2020 Alabama quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting. I think most of these are going to be bust. I'm still not sold. There's not really any one of these I'm sold on, to be honest. But, well, honestly, there's a lot. Can't really analyze it until you really see where all these players go. I'll just say this as a Titans fan at the 7 pick. I do think we take like Joe Alt as a left tackle, just because that's a serious position of need, and we want Will Levis to actually be able to play quarterback and not be in a hospital bed. So so that's what I think you're going to see. I'm not, but that's Thursday night. We'll definitely have to react to the draft next week. An interesting take here from Patrick Mahomes. He was in Times Magazine this week. He said, the quote, "I've had a top 3 start to a career of any player ever," which I agree with. I think that Mahomes is really, really good.
I mean, what he did this season was, fantastic.
Oh, for sure. Yes, I don't think there's any controversy there. But what I think is controversial is what's going on in Boulder, Colorado. I don't know if you saw this one, but the Sanders brothers begging transfer portal players to come to Colorado. And they got up on Instagram, both Shiloh and Shedeur Sanders, and said, if you want to come, if you're an offensive player, DM Shedeur Sanders, the starting quarterback for Colorado, or DM Shiloh if you're a defensive player. And this is just so weird because we've already heard Deion Sanders say that he doesn't want to go into a home to recruit. That to me is just crazy. And Colorado, too, has had 16 players in the past week go into the transfer portal from an already thin roster. I think Colorado's going to be just a disaster this season. I mean, you got players having to be the lead recruiters because their father and coach won't do the recruiting. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why anyone wants to go to Colorado.
Yeah. It's, I mean, they have the brand and all the attention they got last year, but it doesn't seem like can, bring to this year.
Oh, for sure. Quick basketball news. Basketball is likely keeping Tobe Awaka and Jemai Meshack. And they're in the fight with some other transfer players, too. I still like where basketball team is going to be next year. But can you replace Dalton Connect? That's going to remain to be seen. Jonas Idu had committed to Kentucky, but he bailed out of it, apparently. And he's still looking at maybe going to Arkansas to join Coach Cal, maybe. So, or North Carolina, or one of those schools. I'm curious to see where he ends up. I'm going to skip the transfers thing. We'll save that for another day. The baseballs won an amazing series over the weekend against Kentucky in what was a heavyweight fight, top 5 matchup. And what was funny about this series, outside of all the home runs that Christian Moore hit and the rest of the team hit, were the announcers. These announcers were clearly from Kentucky fans, and they were so sad every single time the Tennessee did something good. It was so funny. Like, I think if ESPN wants to produce better version of college baseball, you got to get some better announcers. This was ridiculous.
Yeah, you have to watch out not being too much of a homer.
Oh, for sure. Quick MLB. Shout out to the Braves. I finally got to watch a game on Sunday night because, I don't have them on YouTube TV. But they did lose on Sunday. So there you go. Maybe I should not watch another Braves game. They'll win all the games I can't watch. They beat Texas, though, in the series. So And despite the pitching woes that Atlanta has had from time to time, they're still 15-5 or 15-6, and they're still cruising. I mean, they cruised tonight over the Marlins. The Philadelphia is a close second, and as we all know, Philadelphia has been the Achilles heel for the Atlanta Braves in recent years. So it looks like we're heading to part 3 of that. So it's going to be lovely to see that again. Meanwhile, I wanted to bring up, I saw a picture of the Chicago White Sox the other night. They had no one. They had no one. Apparently, according to our White Sox fan, Jason Warwick, he says there's just a full-on boycott. They want the owner to sell because the team is not good, and basically it's turning into another Oakland A situation, which is just not what you want to see. The MLB has to do something about these terrible owners.
Yeah, and Rob Manfred's like he needs to step up and see what to do with having what to do with those teams.
Yeah. And meanwhile, why I brought this up in quotation marks, meanwhile, Nashville as it sounds, I was in Nashville over the weekend for work-related reasons. And, man, every time the sounds got out, it was super packed downtown. Super packed around that ballpark, First to Horizon Park. And it made me really think, Nashville would 100% support an MLB team. Mm-hmm. I think the party atmosphere would be there. And at the end, the problem they would run into is most people there are already Braves fans. Like, I'm not going to root for a Nashville team because I'm already rooting for Atlanta. But, that just is what it is. They're just pointing out that Nashville seems like a much healthier baseball city right now than both the Chicago White Sox or Oakland.
And their stadium is so beautiful. That's why people go. I mean, I feel like
because I literally watched a game there a few weeks ago. So.
Yeah.
At least from the rooftop bar overlooking it. So definitely a fun place to be. Quick NASCAR, Tyler Reddick won Talladega, and always nuts. Michael McDowell was leading that race all the way up to the end, but he put one block too many on Brad Keselowski, got turned into the wall. Corey LaJoie was on his side across the start finish line, and Reddick wins the race for 23-11. And I do have to go off on a little bit of a side tangent rant here. Fox Sports sucks. I have tried to give these people the benefit of the doubt. Their production of these races are awful. Like, we didn't get a replay of this wreck at the end for like 10 minutes. I was watching this and I saw, I saw a car flip over, but I'm like, they couldn't tell us who it was for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Very frequently, the commentators will say that something's going on, and the cameras will never go to it. And of course, obviously, the abundance of commercials, the timing of commercials during important moments of the race, and frankly, it's starting to affect the viewing experience. NBC is leaps and bounds ahead of Fox, and I really wish Fox would just, because the TV contract for the current cycle ends this year. I wish they were leaving. I know they've been an integral part of NASCAR since 2001, but Fox is just terrible. They don't know how to properly cover a race.
Yeah, and when something like that happens, it makes it hard for attract new viewers.
Exactly, because they control what the viewer sees. And obviously, as a hardcore fan, I can look past their coverage, usually, because there's always little stuff that annoys me about them. I'm like, okay, well, I know what I'm looking at. For a lot of casuals that may be like trying to figure out what's going on, Fox is not helping them at all. And because Talladega, the race itself was really good in my view, but Fox did not do it justice. So it's just it's getting exhausting to watch Fox Sports try to cover NASCAR. That's all I've got to say on that. I've got nothing against Mike Joy, the announcers, but whoever's producing it is not doing a good job. And they go to Dover this week, a mile track in Delaware. Not my favorite track, but I think someone like a Martin Truex Jr. will win. That's a type of track he's really good at. And the last thing, MLS not getting over 200,000 viewers for a game. Bad. So bad. No one is watching or talking about MLS in America. the Apple TV deal, I think, has become a disaster for them.
I mean, I feel like the MLS has reached a peak. I mean, it's become a niche. So when it's a niche, you reach numbers like that.
And plus, they're making other all these like hardcore soccer fans mad, like Jason, like with the whole U.S. Cup situation, just really dumb. But in any case, for more soccer down in Brazil, tell me what happened with Rio Branco, because I didn't get to see this game on Saturday.
Yeah, Rio Branco tied 1-1 with 15 de Jaú. They scored a goal in the last minute of the game, penalty by Gustavo Brandão, which is a defender but has been the goal scorer of the competition. Rio Branco has to win on Sunday because of the because of the rules. They have to win at least by 1-0, and 15 de Jaú can tie and be promoted and go to the final of the Paulista Cup of the state championship 4th division. So I still believe. I think Rio Branco can pull this off. It's going to be a hard battle, but I think he can pull this off. And real quick, my last topic, Brazilian Championship Week 3, Flamengo on top with Bragantino. Corinthians playing really bad on the bottom. So, but it's still too early, I think, to predict. And I think there's still a long way to go.
Oh, absolutely. Vamos Tigre. Hopefully they can
Vamos Tigre.
win on the road and figure this out. But that's all the time we have for tonight. A rather shorter episode here, but sometimes it's just the way we roll here on the only American and Brazilian sports podcast. It's 2 countries, 2 Americas, all sports, episode 127. Have a good night.